Good morning, friends. As you know, I'm working out a habit. I'm working on a habit of making YouTubes frequently. I don't. I'm spending more time on them now sometimes because I have gotten into the primitive editing capabilities of Camtasia, which I'm using. I've used Adobe Premiere. I've used uh, other high-end, like the Apple one. What is that called again? Final Cut Pro and iMovie. I get the idea, and I've taught animation, and I see the tracks, and I've long in my blog advocated that part of education today is giving kids the ability to spin up media like they're doing. I'm not saying, oh, my vision was ignored. It's like a lot of the times what I see as the future is the future, and I'm not saying I'm particularly. We all see futures, and a lot of what we expect does occur. I'm not saying, wow, I can see the future as if other people couldn't. Everyone can to some degree, right? So in any case, what I want to talk about here is a couple things. I'm addressing myself to a few audiences here, teachers, students. If you're a teacher, this is like a study guide to my own work, you could say, because I know what's here better than anyone. So I should let you guys know, and you can check it out. For example, if you want more writing, check out my Medium page. Find me on Medium because I go way back here, and I've written quite a bit, and it hangs together. It's and not too mired in exactly what was going on at the time in terms of current events. I do talk about current events here and there, but I'm trying to write the kind of writing that you could also find useful in 2020 or 2030 or 2040, whatever. So we'll see, and let's see. Let's see if that's loaded. So if you're a student, wow, that's taking a long time. That's because I'm using Camtasia. If you're a student, you might be wondering, how do I get this information in here? Where do I, okay, New York Times, where do I fit in, given that most schools aren't doing any of this Bucky stuff? Like, how can I wedge my stuff in? And as you know from watching my videos, I'm suggesting you'd start in the humanities. Like, if you're already tasked with teaching American literature of any kind, that's where you can wedge this in. Now, most, like a high school, they don't have any courses called philosophy usually, right? So I'm thinking more like literature. And there you can get to the question like, when do poets ever get into mathematics? Like, does it happen that they'll allude to things. Probably the golden ratio gets in there, and once you've got your foot in the door, so you're kind of looking for literature where math has become important rather than the other way around. It's not like we're in it to find the we didn't jump into the math swimming pool. We jumped into the literature swimming pool, and we're finding that there's math in here, and we're trying to track it down. So that's one way to go. If you're a student, I just wanted to reassure you. I know I showed you. Okay, this is really slow. Anyway, rebooting K through 16 is one of my videos. Check it out. It kind of sketches a whole way you could design a whole school to accommodate more of this stuff. And it's a big picture thing. And the graphics are nothing much. It's like whiteboard diagram kind of level. But if you're a really big picture person looking at designing an entire curriculum, it's based on the current K through 16. I just show where we can put a fork in the road maybe around 8th grade and go digital and keep the analog, but make it more of a choice. So what I call digital math includes like group theory to some level. It's not like trying to do silos theorems or anything. Or maybe we are. I'm not in charge. I'm just saying let's get some more group theory because that's really pretty easy. Permutations, multiplying them. We're always looking to keep alive that sense of analogy. So multiply means different things in different language games. Like complex numbers can be multiplied. Vectors, well, quaternions, we can multiply them. when you turn a vector into a complex number and multiply, and then come back out, I mean, it seems like you can multiply vectors if you just jump into complex numbers for the moment. That's what quaternions do, right? Sort of. So, um, the good news, if you're, let's see, where was I going to, another good starting place, you can just print these things, right? The A, the B, the modules, you can just print them. So let's see, where's that thing where I just print them? Okay, let's find out. It's called Advice to Makerspace Teachers. Like all you want to do is start 3D printing this stuff. You're not trying to and learn how the volumes relate to each other. You're not trying to get into the history of it or philosophy behind it. You're not into the world game or any of that. But I just wanted to reassure you that if you do get into the world game kind of stuff, the rest of the fuller corpus, you don't end up with a set of villains that you have to stomp out. So as a student, you can venture down this road knowing ahead of time that you're not setting yourself up to have all these enemies. And in fact, that's a good reason why this material will probably work pretty much anywhere in the world. Now that's optimistic what I'm saying, but if you don't live in the US, I mean, here's a guy with a Medal of Freedom, touted all over as one of the great American geniuses. So obviously you can get away with it here in the US, talk about Bucky stuff. But what about in China, Russia, Africa? Is he politically okay enough, or are you going to find all of a sudden, oh my God, he's a terrible racist? You know, like I often make this gesture, and at some point on 8chan or 4chan or something, that gag about, you know, take a well-known gesture and make it a secret racist teaching or something. You know, I can't do anything about people being clever that way, but I can be clever, I guess, too. I'll just address he's not a racist, Fuller, and nor even much of a nationalist. But he's okay with patriotism. He's not really angry or stomping mad at any particular president, or you know, he's not out to wring anyone's neck. This is something Applewhite discusses in one of his interviews, which you can also find on YouTube. That Fuller was not harboring ill will towards like Eisenhower or somebody, or who knows, you know. And that's interesting to know about a thinker as you get into them, is like, are you going to have to pick up the mantle of their enemies? I mean, of their whoever they fight. What are you getting into? What ring are you stepping into? Who's going to beat you up? And kind of what I'm saying is, feel good about joining us in the Bucky swimming pool, because it's pretty quiet here. It's not like we're fending off a lot of hate speech or anything like that. It's like quiet like a library. Either you're studying because you're interested, or it's very boring. Like, who cares? So it's kind of interesting that way. So if you're interested, you've got a good place to come. Come on in, the water's fine, and we'll see you soon.